I thank God and I'm grateful that my mom, Catherine Eugenia Finnegan Biden, is here tonight. Mom, I love you. You know, my mom taught her children, all the children who flock to our house, that you're defined by your sense of honor and you're redeemed by your loyalty. She believes that bravery lives in every heart, and her expectation is that it will be summoned. Failure at some point of your life is inevitable, but giving up is unforgivable. As a child, I stuttered, and she lovingly would look at me and tell me, "Joey, it's because you're so bright you can't get the thoughts out quickly enough." When I was not as well dressed as the other kids, she'd look at me and say, "Joey, oh, you're so handsome, honey, you're so handsome." And when I got knocked down by guys bigger than me, and this is the God's truth, she sent me back out and said, "Bloody their nose so you can walk down the street the next day." And that's what I did. You know, and after the accident, she told me, she said, "Joey, God sends no cross that you cannot bear." And when I triumphed, my mother was quick to remind me it was because of others. My mother's creed is the American creed. No one is better than you. Everyone is your equal, and everyone is equal to you.
And welcome, good evening to all. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Joe BFF, Biden Friends Forever live stream here on YouTube and wherever you're watching. Please hit that share button, encourage others to join us as we begin Mother's Day weekend, probably one of the most important weekends and most important dates in the entire year. We all have a mother to thank, and I love that video that we started out with where Joe Biden thanked his mama. Tonight, we're going to be talking to two very special mamas who are very supportive of Joe Biden. And that is Miss Julie Zebrak, who founded JoeMamas, which is awesome. I love the name. And we're going to be talking with somebody that I and my fiance, Daniela Ferreira, had the opportunity to meet over the course of the last few years, whose story has touched my heart in ways that I can't explain, I can't put into words, but somehow she finds the words to say what every mom would love to say to their children every single day, especially those moms who, like her, have lost their child. Her name is MJ Wright, and she's a volunteer from Moms Demand Action. She'll be talking to us about why so many moms across the United States are choosing Joe Biden for their children's future. If you have any comments, feel free to share them. They're on YouTube, and we will put them up on the screen. As a matter of fact, my fiance is always supporting, showing her support with Let's Go Joe, and Robert Palacios is on Team Joe. So you can share your comments, and we'll put those up on the screen. And again, click share so that we can get as many people to join in this Mother's Day celebration and cheer on the moms who are cheering on Joe across the country. I want to welcome both of our guests on screen right now. We have Ms. Julie Zebrak and also Ms. MJ Wright. How are you both doing this evening?
Glad to be here.
Doing well. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for joining us. We are every single Friday at 8 p.m. Joining people all over the country who are using creative ways to help get Joe Biden's message out, especially in the midst of this pandemic crisis. We all have to be coming up with new ways to share that message in this most important election of the year. I want to talk first to Julie about the creativity that brought you to create JoeMamas and everything you've done in all the previous election cycles, bringing moms together to help support Hillary Clinton, help support President Obama. Tell us about what creativity brought you to do that and how those initiatives went in previous election cycles.
Okay, well, thanks for asking. So a little bit of background. I am actually, I live outside of the DC area in Maryland, and I spent my career as a lawyer working at the Justice Department and briefly at the Treasury Department. And in 2016, when Hillary became the nominee, I spoke with my family and said I'd like to take a break from working for the government so that I can try to help elect Hillary. So I left my job and started talking to the campaign back then, and they didn't have a Moms for Hillary kind of operation. And so this is my first time getting involved in a campaign, and I asked if I could start it, and they were supportive. And really what I did back then and what I then started doing in 2019 with my my mom's organizing partner, a woman named Courtney, who lives in North Carolina, and then now for Joe, is working to sort of demystify what it means to work on a campaign for women, and in particular for moms who are juggling parenting, working, cooking, keeping the trains running at home, but also want to make an impact on the future of our country. And so everybody has juggling that they have to do. Moms may have a little bit extra just because. And so oftentimes getting involved in a campaign sounds daunting, like, no, I don't have time. What we try to do with JoeMamas is we try to teach moms that you can figure out ways to work campaign activities into your life along with having kids. Now, I can tell you what that's normally like, or I can tell you what it's like right now during the virus era. I mean, in a normal campaign, we are, we're phone banking, we're canvassing, and we're teaching moms that you can bring your kids along for some of that. Right. Or we're teaching moms that you can host a phone bank in your house. Maybe you can't be the one dialing the phone, but you can have your friends over and and somebody can watch the kids, so that, and you could have wine and cheese or iced tea and sandwiches, and make calls to voters and sort of help each other out while you are also taking care of your kids. I'm actually the mom of a team of teenagers, so I like to find other teenagers who are politically inclined and get them helping. They can text voters, they can phone bank, and so it's working with my friends and other moms of teens and getting them involved in the campaign. And then of course there's grandmas, moms. But we're pretty broad in how we define moms. But the idea is we want to teach you that, like, sure, volunteering on a campaign may sound like a big time commitment, but you can actually, break it down to commit. I can only give you 1 hour once a month to phone bank. Well, you know what? That's awesome. We'll take it. We love it. I can only text voters. I can text out the vote right at the end, get out the vote. That's wonderful. We'll take it. It's teaching them that whether you're taking those steps to connect with voters, or if you're, let's say, driving people to the polls who can't drive, or you're bringing, baking cookies for the phone bankers at the field office, or you're bringing water to canvassers, all of that is helping. And we try to bring moms in that sort of low barrier way to make them see that it's actually kind of easy and kind of fun to have that community. And I'm sure MJ can speak to community as well on that front. But part of it is just kind of getting people in the door, and showing them that they can really contribute.
They can and we must, especially this election cycle. We have a responsibility to all of our kids, to all future generations and current generations as well. It's so important. And MJ, would you say that you qualify and you identify yourself as a Joe Mama too?
Well, definitely the part about trying to do cookies and postcards phone calls, whatever it takes. Yes, that's a lot of what Moms Demand does too. You know, we take our kids to the Capitol. We basically do everything we can to get people to think about how we protect our children from gun violence. So that's definitely, I could definitely relate with a lot of the things you were saying.
Yeah,
Right.
like Julie, you were saying, you know, moms are traditionally the person in the household. Some dads do it too, but moms tend to do it better of juggling multiple roles and multiple responsibilities. And that's exactly what we're in the middle of a campaign. We need people helping to reach out to voters. We need people that are creatively thinking about how to share on social media. We need people that can help with press, engagement and calling into radio shows. And moms tend to be able to say, here, do this, and orchestrate it perfectly.
Right. So there's one front that I don't know if MJ, you work on this, but there's one front that I am personally determined to get moms more comfortable with, and that's learning how to fundraise for candidates. But we all know really what the candidates need are the money and the votes. Like that's what they need.
Yeah.
And so we as volunteers can help them in so many ways get the votes. But I also think that moms, we're used to raising money school PTA, or we're raising money for church or baseball teams, whatever it is. I think it's really important to use those skills and show, sort of the power that you hold as a woman to be able to also raise money for the campaign, even if it's not a ton of money, just showing that like you're able to contribute in every way that you can. So that's something that I try to help people sort of get over the hurdle with, that how to ask, how to do it, how to get creative with it.
And I'm glad you talked about that power that women have, because precisely I'm putting up on the screen some footage from the Women's March, right? If anybody has any doubts that women and moms all over this country are fired up and are going to help determine the outcome of the November 3rd election, just remember the power of those images on all 7 continents. Women marching. This was literally the day after Donald Trump got sworn in. So from the very beginning of this administration, women were the ones who stepped forward and said, we're going to lead this movement to call out Donald Trump for all of the terrible things that he has done from day one and all the troubling and dangerous things he's done. And we're going to lead the movement to move people to the polls, to defeat his agenda in November of 2018 in the midterm elections where Democrats retook the House, and in November of 2020 when we make sure that Donald Trump is not reelected and that this time women are going to help elect Joe Biden.
Yes, there is no doubt in my mind. And as we saw in 2018, women and I mean 2018 in the midterms with the enormous amount of women who ran for office for the first time, who won, and then all the activists behind them who were, lifting them up and making sure that they got the help, the funding, the support that they needed to really take over, the U.S. House and forge new seats for Democrats and for women across the country at the state and local level as well.
Absolutely. So, Julie, real quick, I want to get to MJ's story, which I know that our viewers are very eager to hear, and I know it's going to touch a lot of their hearts. But I wanted to ask you on as we enter this Mother's Day weekend, where do you see the JoeMamas movement going? So many interesting things like this have happened in previous election cycles. People might remember Obama Girl, this election cycle, especially this week. There's been some interesting traction behind Jedi for Joe, basically because the Trump campaign said that they basically are running a Death Star. So where do you see JoeMamas going, and why do you see that so many moms are rallying behind Joe Biden and totally repudiating Donald Trump by such a wide margin? Women are supporting Biden over Trump.
Right. So I'll answer you in two parts. First, the part about why are we repudiating Trump in such large numbers, and sort of why do we trust Joe Biden? I mean, I think, all of us knew in 2015, 2016, what kind of, well, not all of us, obviously not every woman in the United States, not everyone got the memo in 2015 and 2016. A lot of us, I don't remember, the maybe 63 million divided by 2 knew in 2016 and made our voices heard that he was not the right candidate. And he has, of course, played that out 20-fold. I mentioned to you, I have 2 teenagers, they're daughters. So they've sort of grown up now learning exactly what you don't want to find in a partner. So sort of just seeing this man who treats people so disrespectfully, who obviously treats women so disrespectfully, who has taken on this role as the president and putting aside everything that any of us has ever grown up to believe in the United States in terms of the humanity that we have, the way that we welcome newcomers to our country, the way that we view equal rights, the way that we view people who are different from us, the way that we view our government and our trust in our government, the way that we perceive how to respect authority, the way that we understand truth. All of that has been thrown by the wayside. Coming from the Department of Justice, the rule of law and fairness have been thrown to the wayside, as we saw even this week with having his prosecution dropped. But as a mom, all of that, we have to sort of reset who we are as a country for our children to succeed here. I mean, we can talk about basic, climate change and making sure we have clean air and have clean water. We can talk about keeping our children safe in schools. Obviously, MJ will talk about gun violence, but our children are growing up not just focused on learning, but being focused on how to escape a shooter if necessary. We want to have somebody in the White House who is stabilizing for us as a country so that our children are not hearing us talking all the time about the horrible thing that the president or his administration has done. I do think this is sort of an unintended consequence, that many of us have deliberately or not deliberately sort of been raising and creating a pipeline of Democrats as they grow up, because we are talking every day about the values that we hold dear and the integrity that we seek. And that's where Joe Biden comes in. He is such a compassionate, real, hardworking public servant. And for that, I have to say, I did spend my career in public service. So that is particularly near and dear to my heart. You know what you're getting, and that every single day of his life he has spent caring for other people. And so that when he takes his place in the White House next year, the remnants of what we're dealing with now and how we move forward, that will be his top priority. Economically, it will be his top priority in terms of the health and the mental health of our nation. We trust Joe. And as a mom, having that trust is just so important. Real quick on the path for JoeMamas, we want to empower women, bring them in, and make sure that they feel that they have something to do to make a difference to get Joe to the White House. So whether that's phone banking, texting voters, using social media, serving as surrogates, or just having their kids, do coloring pages to put outside their house on their front door that they're Joe Biden supporters. Whatever that is, we want to be there for the moms so that they can send the message. I think that moms are the best ambassadors that campaigns have, because we're not going to put ourselves out there unless we truly believe in it. And once we believe in it, we will sing the praises until the end of time, whether it's, a cool thing for your house or a medicine that's really helpful, or getting the right person into the White House. And so I am proud, and I know a lot of women are right there alongside with me, and moms and grandmas and everybody who are fired up to do whatever we can And I just hope we get to do even more. I hope we have a little more freedom after, things free up a little bit to get out and talk to voters a little bit more.
For sure. Let's hope. And you're helping again to get that message out in a big way. We'll be keeping a very close eye, especially on your social media on Sunday. I'm sure there's going to be some special treats in store. And they've been doing some great stuff. They've been doing virtual play dates and all this wonderful stuff. So thank you for what you're doing with the JoeMamas initiative. And I'm really eager to see where it grows over the next couple of months. Last week we had Babies for Biden featured here on Joe BFF, and we got to meet a beautiful, beautiful little baby Wendy. Her dad did the talking, but it's social media platforms and profiles like yours that certainly are going to help make the difference, especially with so many women fired up. So I really appreciate you joining us and sharing all that you're doing with JoeMamas. So follow them. You guys, them right here on the bottom of the screen. Follow JoeMamas on Twitter, and I don't know if you guys are on Instagram or Facebook yet, but I'm sure that there's going to be a lot more present from JoeMamas.
We're everywhere.
Well, Julie, thank you so much for joining us, and
nice
a very happy Mother's Day to you and to all the moms in your family.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. That was Miss Julie Zebrak, who joined us from JoeMamas. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Remember to share that link everywhere that you have on social media. We have a very, very important conversation tonight on the beginning of Mother's Day weekend. We're talking with moms who are supporting Joe Biden and why they're supporting Joe Biden, why they think Joe Biden is the best candidate for their children, their families, and for our country, which basically at the end of the day is the child of our president, right? If we've got a president that's taking good care of the country and knows how to take good care of kids, then we're in good hands. That's certainly not the case right now, in case you didn't notice. And we introduced her at the top of the show here, top of the broadcast. As I said at the beginning, I don't have the words to fully explain to you how much, MJ, you have touched my heart, the heart of my fiance, Daniela Ferreira. And I think the best thing for me to do right now is shut up and let you speak, let you connect with, as you have done in my life and in Daniela's life, and share a little bit about your story with those that are watching us right now. Everybody that's watching, please share this with everyone that you can, because it's an important thing for people to hear. This is MJ Wright, a volunteer from Moms Demand Action.
Good night. Hello. Thank you so much for having me and giving me an opportunity to share my story. A little bit less than 4 years ago, right around this time of year, I told my kids I wanted to skip Mother's Day. My mother had died in April, and I just could not face the idea of celebrating so soon Mother's Day without her. So my kids agreed, and my husband and I decided to take a quiet break at the beach. Sunday morning, my son Jerry called me and said, "Mom, are you sure? I just don't see me not seeing you for Mother's Day. I could be there in an hour and a half." And I said, "No, sweetie, I'm fine. I'm reading a book. I'm pretending today's not the day it is, because it just makes me so sad that I don't have my mom." That's one of the things I regret so much now, because a little over a month after that, on June 12, 2016, my son was one of the 49 people killed in the Pulse shooting in Orlando. And I'll never get to have a Mother's Day with him again. The man who perpetrated this horrible crime was someone who should have never had guns. He had no fly list, been investigated twice by the FBI, but our lax gun laws let him arm himself like he was going to war. And on that night, he killed 49 and injured 58. And it would have been worse if it hadn't been that his rifle jammed. When this happened to Jerry, I couldn't sit still and I couldn't sit quiet. He didn't deserve that. None of them did. And as I learned more about gun violence in this country, I realized that what we have is a plague, an ongoing plague. We lose 40,000 people to gun violence a year. And that's why I decided to do everything I could to stop this. And I joined Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense. It's a grassroots organization of mothers and others, because you don't have to be a mom to be a part of it. You can be a grandmother, you can be man enough to be a mom like my husband is. And we basically are trying to do what we can to promote a culture of responsible gun ownership, to educate people about it, and to try and change the laws that leave guns so easily accessible to people who shouldn't have them. And that's one of the big reasons why I personally and my husband and moms, many, many moms, volunteers support Joe Biden, because he has been trying to do something about gun violence for a very, very long time.
Yeah, that's so true.
The background checks that we have right now, although not perfect, they were implemented many, many years ago, thanks to Joe Biden and some other lawmakers. He was there with the ban of assault weapons, with the Violence Against Women's Act, all things that have made our children safer, especially our daughters. And right now, he has come out and said, you know, one of the worst things about the gun violence problem we have is that it is decimating communities of color. The numbers are mind-boggling. And Joe Biden has already committed to over $900 million investment in violence intervention programs in these communities, which right now is the first line of fire. And we're all with the top of mind of the COVID-19. We are all very concerned about this, as we should be. But the plague of gun violence was there before, and it continues even now. I urge everyone, many people bought guns trying to get prepared because they were scared, and I understand that. But please make sure those guns are locked correctly. Yeah. Please make sure that they're under lock and key, and that the ammunition is under lock and key, because with all the children home from school, the danger increases that a child could unintentionally shoot himself or others. So as a mom, that's one of the big suggestions I give to everybody. Please make sure your guns are locked and put away correctly, and the kids can't get to them. And that is one of the big reasons why I really, really, support Joe Biden. But there's also another one that's important to me. I think when you are hit with a devastating loss, it makes you so much more sensitive and open to the pain of other people. It makes you, I think, a little more empathetic and understanding. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, but I would love to have in the White House someone who has an idea of what hardship is and is more understanding about the hardship others are facing. Because we're in a really difficult moment in our history right now. And we need a leader who will feel for us and care for us. And I think it's a no-brainer to see of the two candidates who would be better for that.
It is. Like I said, I just need to, because the words that you share from the heart, I honestly, if I was in your position, I don't know that I would find the strength to do everything that you have done over these last few years to continue to fight and to advocate and to make sure that your son's memory is not lost in vain. And you have been out there, and I wanted to share with the audience, if you permit me, I know that you had shared this with us, a picture of your son, Jerry. This was, you shared that with us, and it's a beautiful picture of you and him. And I can't imagine on a weekend like this, Mother's Day weekend, as you mentioned, you wish that you had the opportunity to embrace him like you are here, to have those happy moments. And because of senseless gun violence, that opportunity will never again be afforded to you. And because we've had presidents and leaders who have not been willing to do what is necessary to actually save lives and solve this problem once and for all, too many, like Jerry's, have been lost. And like you said, I think Joe Biden, I know Joe Biden has helped solve this problem in the past, and he will help solve it again as president. Getting that first assault weapons ban passed was so important, and we will never know how many lives were saved as a result of it. And if we can get another assault weapons ban passed and get one that's permanent this time, that actually helps take these guns off of the streets, these weapons of war, we can save many other Jerrys and we can save many other lives. We have that responsibility.
And there's so much other things that we can do that even the current president at one point or another gave a shout out for background checks or red flag laws. But it just took a call from the NRA to get him off of, in another direction. And we need to get these things passed to protect our children. We need to do more for the city gun violence that's really hurting people every single day. I mean, it breaks my heart that there are so many of us mothers crying for our kids this weekend because the numbers are astronomical. And the more and more that we don't do something to try and do something to stop the gun violence, these numbers just keep increasing. And it will soon be that all of us have been touched by gun violence. And do we really want that? I don't think that we want that as a country. I think we should be able to come together and do more to keep ourselves and our children safe. And I think Joe Biden is the guy that will do it.
We absolutely must. And you're 100% right about that. We have a viewer sharing, Anne-Marie Hobson, that we need a president who isn't a child, who doesn't act like a child, quite frankly, and one who has human values. I think maybe if we got an opportunity to have MJ speak to every person that is in the line of making decisions that impact policies on guns and impact people's lives, quite frankly, I think they'd have a different perspective, because I certainly hope after hearing what she had to share tonight that you have a little bit of a different perspective. And MJ, behind you is a beautiful portrait
Yes.
of your son, right?
This is a portrait of Jerry that my daughter, Aida, painted the Christmas after he was taken from us. I don't like to say lost, because I did not misplace him. He was taken from me. And that first Christmas, my daughter painted this picture of her brother smiling, because he was very hesitant to smile in photos. So he always used to tease that he'd try to do this GQ kind of thing. But so she painted this painting for us, this portrait of him smiling, his goofy smile, like he would say, but which we loved. And we have it in our family room so he can be with us for when our families get together. And it's a very precious gift, and something that every time I see it, at least I feel for a second, he's still here.
And I really appreciate you sharing the story. Again, I don't know how as a parent you are able to share that as often as you're able to put those words together. I don't know that I would have the same strength that you do. So
Well, my child was taken by a horrific act of evil. And my son was anything but that. He was a wonderful guy, a sweet, loving person. So I feel like it's up to me to try to bring something good out of that. That's what he'd want me to do. And at the end of the day, it's all I can do for him now.
Right.
So I'm basically saying, moms out there, hug your kids, realize what a precious gift they are, and realize that we have nothing, especially now, we have nothing guaranteed. So let them know you love them. Let them tell you they love you, and just enjoy it and have a happy Mother's Day.
That's beautiful. MJ, so this is the event that leads you to get involved in Mom's Demand. And I know from speaking to others that have been engaged with Mom's Demand and other gun control groups.
We don't like the word gun control because we don't really want to control your guns. What we want to do is make things safe. So we like to talk about gun safety.
Gun safety groups. Thank you for correcting me because it's important we use the right terms.
We always get hit back with, you want to take our guns. I don't want to take your guns. I want you to be trained so you use your guns correctly. You are responsible with them, and that we make sure that people that shouldn't have a gun in the first place gets them. So I always like to clarify that because I was born in Texas and I'm not trying to take anybody's guns. I just want to make sure that we're all more responsible about it and we're more considerate. We're realizing that these are lethal weapons and they need to be, like we do our cars. We don't give our cars to children that haven't been well trained.
Right.
We make sure that people, before they can drive a car, get a driver's license and know how to, manipulate and drive the vehicle. I mean, that's basically a lot of what we're trying to do here is let's make sure people get, people that are ready to be gun owners get the gun and are trained by it. And they know how to deal with it. They know how to take care of it. They know how to put it away and not keep it where no one who, like children should get to it. And it's not about taking anybody's guns.
That's right. And I'm glad that I misspoke so that you could help clarify that for people because it's an important point to make. And you've been engaged with this movement to push for gun safety and to help save lives. It's a group called Mom's Demand Action. If you haven't.
He got stuck. Chris got stuck.
Okay, sorry about that. Screen went blank on us for a second. This is modern technology. My apologies about that.
No worries. We know about this with the COVID. It's like a brand new world here.
Yes. But as I was saying, you got engaged with this group, Mom's Demand Action, and if you haven't gotten engaged with them yourself and you're passionate about this issue, we encourage you to follow them. At Mom's Demand, you can make sure that you support their work. It's a very, very, very important work that they do. And MJ shared with us a beautiful picture of her holding up a Disarm Hate banner, along with other volunteers from Mom's Demand. So can you talk to us a little bit about your work with Mom's Demand? What have you been able to get done? What have you seen the group been able to accomplish since your engagement? And what do you view that the role of Mom's Demand Action will play in the 2020 election and when Joe Biden is president come January 20th of 2021?
Well, Mom's Demand Action for Gun Sense is a volunteer group, a grassroots group that is in all 50 states. We have chapters in all 50 states. We have here in Florida, where I'm from, we have about 30 local groups And we basically focus on all aspects of laws and the situation with gun violence, as far as, for instance, we look at local laws, state laws, national, obviously. We have had a pretty good track record that whenever we oppose what we call bad laws, because they're laws that tend to put more guns in more places and more hands, and usually can make things more dangerous, we've had about a 90% success record on that nationally. We have been going state to state, and we were really, I think, instrumental in 2018 in getting so many gun sense candidates elected. We actually have like a little certification, if you will, that a candidate is someone ready to make a difference and work towards gun safety. And any Republicans or Democrats candidates can apply, they take a questionnaire, they can get the certification if they pass it. And it basically tells a voter, this is someone who thinks gun safety is important. And we're beginning to roll out our gun sense candidate certifications this month. We have started already, and you can go to gunsensevoter.org, and you can see of the people running in your district who are gun sense candidates. So you know which candidates are ready to do something to stem the gun violence in our country.
Right. And there are great candidates out there, including, as we said, Joe Biden.
He's our number one gun sense candidate, but we do national and state elections. So you can, anywhere in the country, you can go and see where your candidates stand on this issue.
Wonderful. Well, that's a great resource. And the website where they can go to see that
is gunsensevoter.org. And it'll ask you to just put the address, your address, and you can see all the candidates in your district, in your area, that are gun sense candidates.
I am so sorry about that. We're I guess overloading the broadband, but
that happens.
So website where we can go to see those gun sense candidates.
Gunsensevoter.org.
Okay, gunsensevoter.org.
It'll ask you to put your address in, and you can see your candidates, the people in your area, so you know who in your area is a gun sense candidate.
Excellent. Well, MJ, you've given us a lot of great information. And again, I encourage everybody that's watching to please follow them on social media at Moms Demand. Moms Demand Action is the organization, and MJ is a wonderful volunteer for them. I know that your husband's on Twitter, and I'm sure you're out there on social media, so I encourage you to connect with MJ. If you have the opportunity to meet MJ in person, you'll know what I'm talking about. What my fiance and I have said, that she literally, from the moment that she first smiles at you, she touches your soul. And it's because, no, I'm serious. You have had a very profound impact on me. And as I was talking about having you on this evening, I literally started breaking down because I admire you so very much. And you have helped so many that have gone through similar pains as you have, to have your son taken from you and have them understand that it'll be okay and that there is a purpose for them to continue working for, a very important purpose at that, because they can help save the lives of many others. And somebody else wants to send you an important message right now, which, moms wouldn't be moms without their husbands. And I know your husband was watching, and he had a little message to share on YouTube. Wanted to let you know that your son, Jerry, is very proud of you, and I have no doubt about that. There are so many that are watching, that are proud of the work that you have done in Mom's Demand and the work that you are still yet to do in the important months and years ahead. MJ, we went a little longer than I anticipated, but this is a really important conversation for us to have and a very important message for people to hear. So I am so sorry about those glitches, and we're going to get those worked out for next week. Next Friday, we're going to have a young man and his family who are using artistic, creative means to share Joe Biden's message. But I figured that tonight, as we wrap this up, there's no better way than to me shut up one more time and let MJ share our closing message as we go into Mother's Day weekend. You have the floor, ma'am. Anything you'd like to share with the audience? It's all what we want to hear right now.
Well, for mothers who have their child, hug them and thank God for them. For mothers who lost their mother, remember that they are always in your heart. And for those like me who will be missing a piece of their heart this Mother's Day, know that we have angels that are with us and take care of us, and love never dies. And they're always with us. Have a happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, MJ. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a friend to us, to Joe Biden, and thanks for being a friend to democracy. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.